Hi there, Jake here for my wrap up of 2024. I know I've done this every year, and it's always kind of nice to look back and reflect on what the year has been, and this has been a major one, and I felt like it was worth sort of talking about a little bit. Most notably for the channel. This has marked the conclusion of Database Ranger's Power Reviews after 12 long years of working on it. And that has been utterly remarkable, to finally find that closure, to finally, see those moments brought to life of episodes 99 and 100, and to have that final commentary and everything on them. This was a goal I set out so long ago. The world was such a different place at that time, and it's been very interesting these last 2 months, just kind of moving on beyond that. This has been sort of, in many ways, the end of the channel, at least in the form that's always been known. But that's also far from the only thing that's happened this year. 2024 has been an incredibly challenging year, a very difficult year, a very impactful year, that has changed so much about what life looks like now. It started off with the birth of our second child, which is obviously, a massive, change in how life operates, and it's been just a whole new experience trying to balance 2 children instead of 1. But our little BB has been wonderful, little baby Brody. For reference, Brody is my last name. For any of you who thought that Brody may have been their first name, no, I did not name my child Brody. We did not do that. We just used BB for baby Brody as our initials, much like we did with RJ. For the sake of maintaining their privacy at this young age. But yeah, they've been an amazing introduction to our household, or addition to our household, and RJ growing into being a big sibling, and now being 4 years old. That's a whole new experience. I've also started a new job after working at my previous teaching position for 5 years, and the new position has been going really well, a lot closer to home. I feel like I've got a lot more resources in many respects, but I'm still kind of getting my feet under me, focusing, but I'm getting to focus just on physics instead of physics and math, and that's been also a little bit of a new experience. Just kind of recentering and retargeting things. And just the transition of leaving my old job was also an emotional experience. And the most difficult experience of this year was, I would say, this summer, losing my dear friend Justin Opotzner after 20 years of friendship. That's still something that just kind of, I'll be going through my day and it'll hit me every now and again that he's gone, and that he, didn't get to see the end of the series that we'd worked together on for so long, and that we won't get to have that added time together now that the series is over. And that's something that I'm still it's been months, but still kind of processing how to kind of work around that knowledge that that one of my best friends is gone. So it's been a strange year. It's been a difficult year. It's been a challenging year. It's been so many things. And that's just with regards to my life personally. And that's not getting into things like, just health. I have spent so much more time in hospitals this year, between losing Justin, visiting him in the hospital. I went to an emergency room back in the spring due to having a vasovagal syncope, fainting spell at work for the first time, and had to be taken off in an ambulance for that. RJ had to have a medical procedure over the summer. Everything went smoothly there, but then they had a much more severe medical incident during the week of Thanksgiving. We actually ended up spending Thanksgiving in the ICU, the pediatric ICU, and that is an experience I wouldn't wish on anyone. Again, recovered, doing well. We're still figuring out some of the details of what happened, but it was that, and then just BB being in their first year of daycare, of course bringing home all the germs. So we've been kind of rotating around between who's got the cold, who's got the stomach bug. The poor kid just cut 3 teeth over the course of this weekend and has been up every hour and a half basically for the last couple nights. So if you haven't heard from me, much since my last video back in November, there's some of the reasons. It's been a very difficult time for our family. But we keep moving forward. We keep going through. I also dedicated a lot of time to, obviously, the election, phone banking. I made over 2,000 phone calls, trying to make a difference. And although in many ways, I hit some of my goals for what I wanted to accomplish. I put in the time I wanted to put in. We do appear to have actually closed some of the gap, in the House of Representatives, and I talked about in my last video about fighting fascism, how there was still a chance of closing some of that gap. And although we didn't flip all 7 of the seats that we really needed to, we did flip like 4 of them, which is still pretty impressive. Especially in a year that was so anti-incumbent, to have still managed to make even the smallest gain in the House of Representatives. You take the wins you can find. But that does bring me to one of the things that's difficult about this year that will make next year so difficult, and that was the election. I've talked about it plenty. The fact that we will be seeing the return of Donald Trump to the presidency, the fact that the Republicans have taken back the Senate, the fact that they have maintained the House of Representatives, and obviously the Supreme Court as well. These are all things that will make the world a worse place in the years to come. And that is something that we will all need to reckon with. that, we are looking at, what could be considered a fascist regime. Whether or not it will achieve the full level of dictatorship remains to be seen. But we do know that a lot of the hallmarks are there, and a lot of the intent appears to be there. And we are going to have to push against that to fight that onslaught on our democracy every step of the way, by trying to hold on to things that we can, take advantages of, the actual weakness of many of the coalitions that are being formed there. There are going to be special elections during the next year for people from the House of Representatives who are being appointed to the administration. That is a point that we need to, mobilize on to, again, limit their power as best we can. There are going to be the midterms. That's going to need to be a big push, and the fewer seats we need to fight for, the better. So that's why those special elections are going to be so important. There's so many things that are going to be so important every step of the way. And there's been a quote that keeps rattling around in my head for these last few months. And I probably should have looked it up before I started this video. But it was something that was rolling around my head going into November. As I was finishing Power Reviews and we were looking at the election coming down on us, I kept remembering this quote: "The old world is dying as the new world struggles to be born." And I feel like that encapsulates a lot. We've reached the end of an era in many respects. Just within the context of this channel. Power Reviews is over, and so is Power Rangers, as far as its original form. This has been the first year without a new Power Rangers season either being aired or being announced. The only other time that we had a year without a new season premiering was in 2010 with the reversioning. And if you want to count that as something as its own season, fine. In that case, we haven't had a miss. But even within that year, we knew pretty quickly that Samurai was coming. And now it is the end of December and no new season in sight. The thing that this channel was based on has ended after 30 seasons, 30 years. The series that I dedicated so much time to over these last 12 years has ended. My old job has ended. And on a much broader scale, a shared vision of the United States, I think, has in many ways ended. And it's going to be up to all of us, I think, not so much to try and save the world at this point, or at least we won't be able to save the world as we knew it. We won't be able to bring back the world as we knew it. It is now going to be the job of all of us to build a new world. On every scale. I'm looking at, building my new career with my new teaching position, my life with now a family of 4, and trying to find ways to build up this a new world, a better world, in the shadow of this, fascist regime that is taking hold. I'm going to be trying to do what I can to volunteer in my community to make sure that not only is my family safe, but I'm trying to see what I can do to better support the people in my area. I'm finding places I can hopefully volunteer. I'm trying to forge new friendships now that I'm, in a new place in my life. I'm working to kind of figure out what my place is in whatever this new world is going to be. Because we need a new world. We need a world rooted in kindness, in care for each other, in goodwill towards men and women and everyone in between. Let's not forget our friends and family from all across the spectrum. I'm hoping that we'll get to see a better world. As far as what this YouTube channel that I've created is going to be in the coming year for 2025, it's not going to be what it's been. Our Power Rangers reviews are done. We've finished the series, and the series is finished with us. So I'm going to be working on something new. Something that I'm hoping to announce by the end of next month. It's still in various stages of development. I've done some filming, a lot of research. I'm working on communicating. I'm working on building something more collaborative that I'm hoping will provide valuable resources to people in sort of building that better world. Finding ways to find community, to build community, to take care of your community, and to give you all those tools if you don't have them already, and to share the tools that have already been built by others. I want this to happen. I want this to be possible. I'm still in the process of making it happen and figuring out how to make it happen. There's so much work that needs to be done over the course of really at the very least, these next 4 years I'm struggling to find the words for it. I spend every day thinking about, how we can make things better. But we need to figure out a way that we are not going to be so reliant upon the systems that have failed us. And we need to start building new systems of how we take care of ourselves and each other. And that's going to take a lot of work. A whole lot of work. And there are things that give me hope. And there are things that make me very scared. And I've been working to hold on to the hope. Because I think that's what we need right now. I'm very tired. It's been a very long year, as we have discussed. But somehow I'm in a better place, I think, mentally and emotionally than I have been in some previous years. I know that back in 2022, I described that as one of the worst years for my mental health that I had had in a long time. And that was true. for various reasons. But 2024, despite, having arguably worse outcomes in certain respects and more upheaval, I feel like I've spent these last few years building up a resilience and finding ways to work through. Being at the end of Power Reviews gave me a light at the end of a bit of a dark tunnel, I guess you could say. Being exhausted as a new parent, second time new parent, heartbroken over the loss of a friend, struggling to gain moorings, as moving from one job to another. I'm proud of myself for what I've managed to do this year. I wish I could have done more. I always wish I could have done more. I'm always going to keep trying to find ways to do more within my power. But I'm no longer sprinting towards the end of something anymore. I've been working so hard to get to the end of Power Reviews, and now it is over. And now, this is life. That's what I'm at now. Now it's looking at what my life will be day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. And how I'm going to spend the time that I have working step by step by step to make a better world. And I'm hoping that you will all join me in that. I'm hoping that you won't tune out just because there's no more Power Rangers here. I may touch in on things here and there if something catches my fancy. I feel like I have something to say about. I may. I don't know. I don't know the future. I don't know what the next year will bring. There's an excitement to that. Even if I know that there will be so many challenges. But I look into the faces of my children and my spouse, and I know they love me and care about me, and I love them and I care about them, and I love you guys too, and I care about you, and I want a better world for all of us. So I'm going to try. We all have to keep trying. We need to find a shared vision of what we're trying for. But we need to keep trying. So, I know the holidays are not always easy for everyone. Whether it's due to rough memories, rough times, or, just being in that state of reflection as it's all dark and cold outside and speaking in low tones as I have been, kind of melancholy. But I'm here for you as best as I can be. And let's keep moving forward together. Let's find out what comes next. It is going to be a challenge, but it's one that we are going to fight together. I've got some ideas. I've got some hopes. I've got some dreams. As you've seen over the last 12 years, I'm not exactly a guy who tends to take much by way of a break or sit still for too long or thinks too small. So I'm looking forward to applying that to the real world, and I'm hoping that that energy will carry forth with all of you as well. So with all that said, thank you so much for this year, for the last 12 years, for everything. Thank you for tuning in for this little farewell to 2024. And listening to me ramble about so many different things. You've listened to me talk about Power Rangers for a very long time. And I'm hoping that the next few things that I'll have to say in the coming years will also hold some value for you. But until 2025, farewell, Ranger fans. And let the power protect you.